Mic check, mic check. It's your boy Coach B, founder of pursueit365.org, a local nonprofit. And I'm just going to kind of get right into it. I have a really interesting guest here. One thing that I always like to do in my work is information dissemination, right? There's a lot of gatekeeping that happens. And I'm one of those that when I find information or gatekeepers, the good ones, I try to bring that information to the public, not word of mouth, but from the horse's mouth. So without further ado, I'm going to let Cedric introduce himself.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Cedric Austin. I work for the Washington Department of Enterprise Services on their PI program, which stands for Procurement, Inclusivity, and Equity. So I'm the face, feet, eyes, and ears into statewide contracting for everybody that's interested in that stuff.
All right. So before we get into some of these questions, first one right off the top. What's your why?
Because I care. I care about our community. I care about small businesses. And for far too long, our communities have not been able to have access to this information. We have had access more contemporarily, but we don't know what information to ask for. So it's my job to go out there and share this information and be a resource and a pipeline of information to the community.
Absolutely. So we got a few questions here. We're just going to get into what DES is. So let's start at the top. What is the Department of Enterprise Services and what role does it play in the ecosystem of public contracting and procurement in Washington State?
So the Department of Enterprise Services, here I'll give you the my spiel. So we are the Washington State lead procurement agency for statewide contracts, meaning any type of contracts that any of the state agencies need, supplies or services, we can generate statewide contracts for small businesses to then get on those contracts. So we like to look at ourselves as a tool for small business utilization in Washington State.
All right. Question number two. So what does your role as a community engagement specialist look like on a day-to-day basis, and how does it align with DES's mission of equity and inclusion?
So on my day to day, it really depends on the day. A lot of it is the same week in and week out, um, meaning that I am beating feet and I'm up and down the highways, attending events, meeting with agencies, meeting with organizations in order for them to spread the information and resources that I have by creating workshops that I can then come speak at to pass out this information
Mhm.
on how can businesses learn about statewide contracts or learn about the different resources that are available to them. So really, on a day-to-day, week-to-week, I am that tool for businesses to, you know, get that information or to pique their interest for them to do more research and find out, hey, how can I get in, on this?
Okay, very nice. Which kind of segues nice into this question is procurement can sound intimidating to small businesses and nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the biggest misconceptions about contracting with the state that you frequently come across?
Huh. Misconceptions that there's no place for small businesses. That is the biggest misconception. There is a place for small businesses. The issue that we've run into, or that there is small businesses believe that they can handle the capacity of business that they're going to get, and they can't. So getting into any kind of contracting, whether it's with the state, county, the city, businesses need to understand that they need to be able to provide the services that they say that they can, because it can have a long-lasting negative impact on their business. So I would say that that's the main one.
Yeah, that's a that's a huge misconception. Is people wanting that 200,000 to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and they're only set up for A, B.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Okay, what are DES's current strategies to make procurement more inclusive for minority-owned, women-owned, and justice-impacted organizations? Are you their strategy, Cedric?
It really it feels that way. I am but one part of the strategy. So yes, I am out at a lot of events all over the state of Washington. Even though we're based obviously here in Olympia, I've done things up in Everett, down in Vancouver. We got stuff coming up in Yakima, stuff in Spokane. We have people all over the place. So and it's not just a me focused thing, because on my team we have different members who focus on various parts of inclusion. So we have a supplier diversity manager who engages with other state agencies to find out in their process, how do you involve or include minority businesses, to include black businesses, woman-owned businesses, native-owned businesses, and so yeah, it's really all different sorts. On top of engaging with organizations in those types of communities, so whether it's the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, or the Latino Chamber of Commerce, or the African American Chamber of Commerce, so we really make a way to try to engage with all the communities that we can. I mean, there are six of us, so there's only so much that we can do, but our reach is long, and they keep me on the road and they keep me busy. So,
Speaking of 6 year, I just seen I think 5 or 6 positions drop for the DES.
mm-hmm.
So there's some employment opportunities coming around the corner. Lastly, last part to that last question, and obviously this is close to my heart, right?
Okay.
Reentry. Where does reentry fit in the inclusion, minority owned, ex felony owned businesses where we're harder to insure and things like that?
I would say the fact we don't ask about your history.
No questions about it. So
if you have a business, can you do the job? Do you have the experience in doing that? We don't really care about anything that you've done previous. You've been to jail or not. We would really never know. So
I guess that's a second prevalent misconception, right? Is that if you are a ex-con, or if you have a felony on your record and you have a small business, I hear a lot in the field that they can't, or that they think they'll get denied certain grant opportunities if the CEO or the founder is ex-felon. So that's good clarity. Basically, if you got a business and you have the bandwidth, you qualify. But I think emphasis on bandwidth, make sure that the grant you're applying for, the deliverables that contract comes with, that you're able and capable to do it. That's what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move on to the next one, so let's not forget that there are different levels. So let's say you're just starting out your business. A state contract, while it sounds great, because the amount of money that we're working with is a very significant amount, but in order to get that experience, there are opportunities at city level. There are opportunities at the county level.
So smaller amounts, smaller jobs, smaller, capacity
capacity,
needed.
and it gives you that experience of working with governments. It allows you to start building those relationships because one of the things that I have found in this, relationships play a big part in this. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just telling my kids that I got them on one of the jobs I was doing, and that was literally one of my focus points was, hey, now that I got you in the door and you're kind of in the field, you got to nurture all your own relationships. You can't expect me to call every time there's a shift available and call you and remind you and then ask you to ask them if you could have it. You gotta, here's the number to the people that can put you on the shifts. Nurture those relationships, stay in contact, be diligent. And it's like, because sometimes in our youth are like this. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I will say this thing. Um, we shouldn't have to get a job that I already got you for you. Right? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. Oh, trust me, it does. So,
So yeah, let's move on to 5. That's a different video. Uh, how does DES define capacity building, and what types of referrals or supports do you offer to organizations that are just getting started or may need technical assistance?
so capacity building, we don't really engage in capacity building. So if a business is looking for capacity building, we would refer them to some of our community partners, such as organizations like Tabor 100 or Washington Apex Accelerator or Washington Office of Minority Business Enterprise, uh, for those types of services. And to not get too deep, but to at least offer a little bit of context, Washington Apex, their one of their main purposes is to provide that technical assistance for businesses. So if you're putting in for not just a statewide contract, but a city level contract, they can help you write those contracts. They can ask those questions. They can be that outside set of eyes to say, "Hey, can you really do this?"
Yeah, yeah, kind of help them decide so that they're not taking on a bigger contract than they're capable of
hmm
executing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the decision lies with the business owner. They're there to offer their expertise and their experience. But yeah, and then like I said, Tabor, they're based out of Tacoma, great organization. They've been around for like 27 years, and I've seen them do some amazing things for small businesses. So if you haven't heard of them, please check them out at tabor100.org. There's also the Latino Civic Alliance. You have Mi Centro out in Tacoma, the Latino Chamber of Commerce based out of Seattle. Look, I can go on and on about
Yeah.
the different resources and organizations that are out there.
Okay, this question. Can you break down the importance of certification for small businesses wanting to work with the state, and how does DES help folks navigate that process?
Once again, we don't help with that. uh,
Nice.
be, only because there is an agency specifically designed for that.
For certification processes and that's considered technical assistance, yeah?
That would no, that's just certification.
Just
So
certification.
certification and technical assistance are two different things. So the certification helps you get certified as a minority-owned business, a woman-owned business, a minority woman-owned businesses, things like that. And under the Washington State definition, in order to be certified as that, the minority has to have 51% ownership of
Mm,
that business.
yeah, yeah, I heard that.
And so you would kind of set that up when you go through your Secretary of State, because they ask you, are you the owner? Are there partners? All of those things. So all of that documentation and structuring setup, it plays a part, in that. So uh, Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise, they are the sole Washington State certification agency. They also help with federal level certifications as well. So
Nice.
yeah, so if you're looking at, doing federal contracts, like typically off SAM.gov or stuff like that, they are the agency that is designed specifically for that.
Okay, I like that. So that's the when you say Secretary of State, that's like when you're forming your articles of
Article of
corporation.
incorporation.
So when you're doing your nonprofits or your LLCs, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then when you do your business license, making sure that 51% of ownership falls within that category in
Mm-hmm.
order to get certified. Correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. What success stories stand out to you? Organizations or individuals who started small and are now thriving in the state contracting world because of DES support.
There is too many to really choose from. Um, I can say I've been working for DES for about a year now. Um, and just one of the success stories that I was engaged in when I first started is we had a procurement conference last year called Washington Procurement Connect, where we had the different businesses. They were able to table at a large scale conference, and all of the agencies and city procurement people, they came around and able to talk to those businesses, and that gave the business the opportunity to show you know what their products, services, goods, to those procurement professionals who they may not had an opportunity to meet yet, or who they have been reaching out to but have been gate kept.
I was just, yeah, I was just sitting here
Reaching.
thinking, I was like, wow, that just sounds like they just threw open the gates,
Yeah.
right? So, how is DES partnering with community based organizations and nonprofits like ours to build trust and create more accessible pathways into procurement?
Getting people like me. Um, I mean,
I mean, it is.
it is because one, not only am I a minority, I'm a business owner, I'm a veteran, so I check a lot of the boxes. I didn't grow in this industry per se, so I come in.
You got invited in.
I applied and,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and got accepted in, um, which was a good thing. But to the good part of for the businesses, I don't necessarily look at the policies from a government or a government employee perspective. I
Yeah.
always look at it from a business owner perspective because I'm a business owner myself. So from day one of me starting, if something didn't make sense, I asked why. There have been several instances and several systems that I have explained to them. This system is not as easy as you think it is
Mm.
because you working it every day, whereas the daily business owner, they're coming in trying to figure this out, and it's not as simple as you think it is. And so it has played out a lot, not only for DES but also engaging with other agencies. And uh, coming from the background that I come from, I understand the hardships. So I do put the effort into engage with you know reentry organizations, or African organizations or Ukrainian organizations. One, like I said, I don't discriminate. I want to get the information out to everybody, especially. Let me not say especially because it seems like I'm singling them out, but
Emphasis on.
well, not even emphasis, because I share information equally. I A lot of people in my family have been to jail, prison, all of that stuff. And I do not believe in you coming out and continuing to be punished for something that you already did.
Yeah.
You're trying to better yourself by, creating a business that is beneficial for society. So why would there not be opportunities there? Why should who am I to gatekeep information or resources from you? Because me doing that, expanding a lot, but that could lead to you doing something to end up in that situation that you were in before.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a strong proponent for the idea that lack of information contributes to recidivism for sure, right? Lack of resources, lack of information, being gatekept, not given certain jobs, even jobs that claim they want lived experience, but then if it's too much lived experience, that same lived experience they say they want, HR uses not to hire.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. The biggest box, just going back a little bit, that you check for me is you're passionate. Like since we met, kind of outside of work and friends, and you kind of, in a lot of ways mentored me and and stuff like that. But it's like there's no angle with you. There's no like hidden agenda. You're not trying to get nothing. You're not trying to get tagged on to no grants or get no favor. Like Cedric really cares, and because of that, we're sitting where we are right now. I also really, really, really care. I have lots of lived experience, and I have a deep passion for my own life and my children's lives, and the people that I used to run around with, and a good portion of them have come over to the other side and are even doing peer work and things like that. So, when I meet people that are as passionate and genuinely, authentically care about our community, and then you get, I was there, and I remember when you got the job, and you're like, I think I get to do A, B, or C, and that's all you've been doing. So yeah, I appreciate it. We got one more question. I know, we're dads, kids out there, outside the door trying to get our attention. But last question. And finally, what excites you the most about the future of inclusive procurement in Washington, and what should our audience be paying attention to right now?
What excites me? Nothing, honestly. Um, I can spout a lot of things, uh, but I really want to see all of the minority communities progress. And yes, the programs that we have in place, they are greatly beneficial, uh, to a lot of businesses and a lot of communities. One of the struggles that we have, and it's with anything, loopholes.
Mm,
We can create policies, loopholes in every policy and every law. So when we do those, it's not a quick thing. It takes time for that stuff to get enacted or get voted upon. And so a lot of times, by the time we get it enacted, they've already found the loophole. And so it's back to the drawing board.
oh,
Like,
so when you say, like, what I'm hearing you say is you on your side will find ways to make things more accessible, and
mhm.
then whoever the powers that be, the gatekeepers that don't want it accessible, find a loophole, for example, to not give a company the thing.
it can be that, or just something as simple as because I want to give a good example. Um, but really, this is it's hard because there's so much. Um, how can we can say we are doing all of these things for minority businesses? Uh, we have the Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise. They are the certifying agency created to assist in that, because utilizing them, it increases your visibility to agencies and cities and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But by law, Washington is a race and gender neutral state, meaning we cannot give any special preference based off race, based off being a minority. We can give preference to small businesses and veteran owned businesses. And so it's really figuring out how can we.
Now, does that same thing apply as you said earlier? If a so the vet, in order to be considered veteran owned or woman owned or black owned or Latino owned, that 51% is what kind of pushes it over into that uh, qualification.
And for to become veteran owned is just getting the veteran or the active duty service member, because it can apply to both, but just them registering their business with the Washington Department of Veteran Affairs. And it's very simple. Just fill out the requested documentation, and you get updated. But it is still that 51%. That is the magic number here in Washington.
So I did a training once for a room full of vets, and I noticed, or I learned, not noticed, but I learned from them that a lot of times there's a difference between like honorable discharge and dishonorable. Does that apply when it comes to registering their businesses in the what do you say, veteran?
Just a veteran owned
business. Like, do they have to be honorably discharged in order to take advantage of that status?
That would be a question for them. Honestly, I'm trying to remember when I did mine. Was that question asked? I don't believe it was. Because there are differences in being honorably discharged and being, well, so there's different levels of discharges. So you have, honorable discharge, dishonorable discharge, and a general discharge, and of course a dishonorable. And each level, there's benefits that you can get, things that you can't do. But there are also things that you can kind of negotiate with them when you're going through that discharge
process. Yeah. Okay.
So it really depends. But like I said, I don't remember that question being on there. But yeah, that would definitely be a question for the Washington Department of Veteran Affairs. So if that question pertains to you, feel free to reach out to them. Just do a Google search for Washington Department of Veteran Affairs, or WDVA, and yeah, they will definitely answer that question. I'm about to check on that.
Yeah, right. Because yeah, and the reason I ask is because there's like intersectionalities, right? We say veterans, but then there's a culture of dishonorable discharge veterans versus honorable versus injured, and they're treated different within their own stuff. And then of course the benefits, right? So there's way less VA benefits if it's a dishonorable discharge, almost none from what I've heard. And my dad's a vet, you're a vet. But yeah, when I did that training, I'm one of those people. I get really, really curious about things that I hear the first time, and I'm like, "Wait, what? So you guys don't all across the board get looked out for when you're done with the military?" And they're like, "No, if you're dishonorably, it's And I get it, because some of those dishonorable discharges, they committed crimes, right? So of course, you wouldn't be able to, reach back in and get a 401k after you, did something horrendous while you're on the whatever. But yeah, so I thought about that when I was asking that question. If that would, kind of like how you said when I asked earlier about if you're a felon or not, whether you could get a grant, but all they care about is your business registered correctly and legally and all that. Doesn't matter what you did before. If the qualifications apply to a business, not a person or their criminal history. So maybe it's the same with the vets. They wouldn't care if you're dishonorably discharged if you're just filing a business with them because at one point you were in the military.
And also, depending upon your level, you can also get that stuff upgraded. So if you have a general discharge, or I believe it applies to dishonorable discharge as well, after certain periods of time, you can, request for an increase. So that may not be something that a lot of people know, is that you can ask for an increase to get access to those benefits.
Also, you could take your level of dishonorable discharge, for example, to
a general.
So then
that'll
reapply.
That'll open up, more things.
Nice.
And so definitely check out the. I believe that will be through the main Veteran Affairs website that you can get that information on. getting your discharge level upgraded, because that goes up to DC, to the Pentagon and all that. And so there is a program specifically designed for that. And I know of a lot of veterans who have gotten their discharges increased so that they could then be able to access those benefits, because you did you did serve.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah,
so
you definitely did. So that being said, how do you feel when people say thank you for your service?
you know what my answer to that. Because while it is something that I am proud that I have done, uh, we also live in the real world, in reality. And so we we see what we no let me not say we see, we're taught that we're fighting for these freedoms and these benefits and this, that, and the third. But then when we come into the daily world, the real world, a lot of times people they see the exact opposite. And it's like, is this really what I put my life on the line for? To be discriminated against, or to be gate kept, or to be held back from accessing whatever it may be. um, and that's obviously that's not everybody's experience. I can say, like, I've was fortunate enough. I did retire, and I spent 85 to 90% of my time overseas. So a lot of the things that were going on in America,
It wasn't affecting you
it
per
didn't
se.
directly affect me. Um, but now that I'm back here and in the mix, and it's like, yo, this is yeah. Hold on,
And
like,
that's why you do what you do.
and that's why I do what I do, because, like I said, I care, and I want to see a level playing field for everybody, because we get further by working together. There's enough
Come on.
money. There's enough money out here for everybody.
So there it is. Uh, and that's my slogan, right? That's what I believe in. There's no community without collaboration.
Thank you for having me. And for anybody out there, if you're interested in statewide contracting, and or just want to know what resources are available to you out there, uh, I'm sure you're gonna put my digital business card or my QR code on the screen. You know, scan it. Shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email, and I'll let you know how I can be of assistance to you. So, thank you for having me. And anytime you want me back, I'm here.